Speaker, sir, with regards to the assessment of drug addiction among adolescents, I'm informed that a national study was conducted in 2023 by the ministry entitled Study on Knowledge, Attitudes and Behavior on HIV, AIDS and Drug Abuse Among Adolescents aged 15 to 17 in Mauritius and Rodrigues. The study, based on a representative sample of 400 school adolescents, revealed the following key findings. Approximately 98% of respondents perceived drug addiction as a significant problem among adolescents. Second finding, cannabis was identified as the most commonly used substance. Third, the study underscored the need for further in-depth and continuous research, particularly in relation to emerging synthetic drugs. In response to these findings and evolving trends, I am further informed that the National Agency for Drug Control is envisaging a comprehensive study entitled Prevalence of Determinants of Synthetic Drug Use Among Secondary School Students in Mauritius. This initiative aims at generating evidence-based data specific to the local context, identifying risk factors and behavioral patterns associated with drug use, and supporting the design of targeted data-driven interventions to address substance abuse among adolescents. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in parallel, several preventive and intersectoral measures are being implemented and strengthened, including, first, capacity building in schools. Since March 2026, a school leadership training program has been initiated in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, targeting rectors and educators. This program focuses on early identification, prevention strategies, and understanding evolving patterns of drug use among adolescents. Second, recognizing that prevention is most effective at an early age, early childhood intervention programs are being developed to build resilience, life skills, and protective factors before the age of 12. Third and last, multi-sectoral collaboration, enhanced collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and non-governmental organizations are being pursued to promote structured and meaningful activities for young people, promote healthy lifestyles and social engagement, and reduce vulnerability to substance abuse through holistic youth development programs. And in conclusion, the Ministry of Health and Wellness remains fully committed to strengthening surveillance, prevention, early intervention, and rehabilitation strategies to effectively address drug-related health conditions among adolescents. Currently, the Ministry has one residential rehabilitation center for male adolescents at Long Mountain, one for female patients, including adolescents of Beaubassin, and there is one additional rehabilitation center which will become operational in the coming weeks at FLAC. The approach being adopted is comprehensive, evidence-based, and anchored in strong intersectoral collaboration to safeguard the health and future of our youth. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir.
Mr. Rubenelli. Honourable members, the table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B739, B770, B767, B777. The Honourable Third Member for Warwick.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. B738.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, allow me to shed some light on the homologation of sports facilities before answering the question. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, only national sport facilities which host international athletics and football competition required homologation from their respective international sport federations. However, the hosting of international competition in respect of other sports discipline, national sport facilities do not need homologation, but they have to comply with the rules established by their respective international sport federation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, hence I'm tabling a list of national sport facilities together with their status. At present, the Côte d'Or Athletics Track and Football Ground are homologated by World Athletics and FIFA respectively. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as regard part B of the question, my ministry has sought funds for the upgrading of several sport facilities before homologation is envisaged. That being said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to highlight that in order for a sport facility to be homologated, there are mandatory requirements that need to be met. If these requirements are being met, homologation of the Jean-Daniel André Stadium is envisaged to host international sports competition. Then the onus to apply for homologation rests with the concerned National Sport Federation.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Est-ce que l'honorable ministre peut nous dire justement quels sont ces critères pour l'homologation de l'infrastructure dont est mentionné ici, c'est-à-dire le stade de Gondjoua?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in order for a sport facility to be homologated, there are mandatory requirements that need to be met. For instance, in the case of football stadium, the requirements include compliance with inter alia, first, administration and documentation. Second, pitch or field of play. Third, technical areas and equipment. Fourth, dressing rooms, team and official facilities. Fifth, match officials, doping and bar, that is video assistant referee, a spectators area and seating, safety, security, and emergency services, media, press and broadcast, and lighting, power, and communications.
Okay. B741 has been withdrawn, so I call upon the Honorable Third Member for Flak and Bonacay.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, sir. B742.
Monsieur le Vice-président, actuellement, 3 producteurs indépendants, IPP, à savoir Alteo, Terragène et Omnicane, produisent de l'électricité à partir de la bagasse et du charbon. Omnicane, Saint-Aubin, donc CTDS, dépend exclusivement du charbon pour sa production d'énergie. Au fil des années, on a constaté une nette augmentation de l'utilisation du charbon au détriment de la bagasse, compte tenu de la réduction significative des surfaces cultivées en canne à sucre. Afin de promouvoir la production d'énergie à partir de la bagasse, notamment à partir de la biomasse, notamment la bagasse, les résidus de canne à sucre et la biomasse, wooden chips, c'est ainsi de faciliter la sortie du charbon. Le ministère de l'Agro-Industrie a élaboré un cadre national pour la biomasse. Actuellement, les producteurs indépendants d'électricité, les IPPs, du secteur sucrier, consomment environ 750 000 tonnes de charbon par an. Monsieur le Vice-président, pour remplacer intégralement cette quantité de charbon par la biomasse, il faudrait, selon les estimations, 1500 kilotonnes de biomasse par an. Il est également estimé que la biomasse locale, en particulier les coupeaux de bois, wooden chips, si elles aient été pleinement exploitées, représenteraient environ 20% des besoins en biomasse. Monsieur le Vice-président, afin de mettre en œuvre la politique de sortie progressive du charbon dans le cadre national pour la biomasse, mon ministère a sollicité l'assistance technique du mécanisme africain d'appui juridique MAL, bras juridique de la Banque africaine de développement. Le MAL a désigné Trinity International, cabinet d'avocats international spécialisé dans la structuration d'initiatives similaires en Afrique, et Interland Management, expert en biomasse, comme consultant pour ce projet. Mon ministère a entrepris plusieurs actions, notamment une évaluation de l'état des centrales des producteurs indépendants d'électricité, l'approvisionnement en biomasse locale et importée, et 3, la mise en place d'installations de stockage pour la biomasse importée et des investissements nécessaires à la conversion des équipements existants des IPP pour fonctionner à la biomasse. On parle ici de wooden chips. Par ailleurs, une société à vocation spécifique Mauritius Biomass Fuel Aggregation Limited, MBFL, a été créé avec les IPPs et la SIC comme actionnaires. Cette société sera responsable de l'approvisionnement en biomasse et de toute gestion logistique liée à la manutention portuaire, au regroupement et au transport de la biomasse locale. Monsieur le vice-président, compte tenu de la disponibilité limitée de la biomasse locale pour remplacer intégralement le charbon, des missions d'études ont été menées en Afrique du Sud, en Namibie, en Eswatini et au Mozambique afin d'évaluer la disponibilité des coupeaux de bois de biomasse présentant les caractéristiques, le volume et les prix souhaités pour Maurice. Il a été confirmé, Monsieur le vice-président, que le marché sud-africain est bien établi en tant que région de production forestière, de transformation et d'exportation des coupeaux de bois à grande échelle. Jusqu'à 1000 kilotonnes de copeaux de bois peuvent être importés durablement depuis des ports de Richard Bay et de Durban. Afin d'évaluer la disponibilité du terminal sucrier, donc on parle ici du Shed 2 de Bulk Sugar Terminal, pour le stockage de la biomasse importée, une étude de sécurité et de contamination est en cours. Le rapport est attendu le 25 mai de ce mois-ci. Il est proposé au cours des 2 prochaines années, Monsieur le vice-président, de remplacer environ 15% du charbon par la biomasse locale et importée. Que 15%. Les producteurs indépendants d'électricité, les IPP, seront tenus de co-combuster, donc de brûler, des coupeaux de bois locaux et importés dans les chaudières existantes, moyennant des travaux de rénovation minimes. À titre expérimental, à moyen et long terme, l'abandon progressif du charbon est envisagé sous réserve de développement d'une filière biomasse locale robuste, d'installation de stockage de la biomasse adéquate et d'autres projets de production d'électricité.
Yes.
The Minister informed the House if his ministry, more precisely the Suivez, will use pellet to replace coal in the production of electricity. Thank you.
Monsieur le Vice-président, je dois dire qu'il y a une différence entre le pellet et les coupeaux de bois, les wooden chips. À l'île de la Réunion, ils brûlent le pellet. Ils ont les moyens qu'on n'a pas, malheureusement. Les pellets, en brûlant les pellets, l'efficience est bien plus importante, c'est vrai, mais les pellets coûtent peut-être 10 fois plus cher en termes de kilowattheure que les coupeaux de bois. C'est pour cette raison que nous avons pris la décision d'écarter l'utilisation des pellets. On peut trouver les pellets en Afrique du Sud, en Namibie, oui, mais les pellets coûtent extrêmement cher. Donc l'investissement dans les pellets va coûter extrêmement cher en termes de kilowattheure pour les CIB. C'est pour cette raison que nous sommes partis pour les coupeaux de bois, wooden chips, qui se trouvent ici à Maurice et en Afrique du Sud. Donc en termes de prix, en termes d'efficience, je pense que le pays gagnera énormément dans cette phasing out du charbon dans les 3 ans à venir, autour de 15%.
Honorable Third Member for Vieux-Grand-Port in Rosebel.
Merci, Monsieur le Vice-président. PQB 743, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to part A of the question, I'm informed that the newly constructed food court at Roseville has an overall dimension of 47.5 meters by 17.5 meters. The project has been designed to accommodate 2 categories of stallholders. The first category concerns stallholders engaged in cooking food on site and selling directly to the public. For this category, we have 34 stalls have been constructed and each having a dimension of 3.9 meters by 2.2 meters. The second category concerns stallholders involved in the sale of already prepared food and beverages. For this purpose, 36 stalls have been provided, each measuring 1.9 meters by 2.2 meters. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to part B of the question, I'm informed that the food court is situated at an approximated distance of 40 meters from the existing Dr. James Petit David Market Fair at Roseville. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, prior to embarking on the project, the District Council of Grand-Port held consultation with stallholders of the food section of the Roseville Market Fair on 28 February 2022. During that meeting, the proposed concept and design of the food court were presented to the stallholders. Subsequently, bids were invited through open national bidding on 30 September 2022 for the extension of the Dr. James Betty David Market Fair to accommodate the food court project. The works commenced in January 2023 and were completed in September 2025 at a total cost of 16.8 million rupees. Following completion of this project, another consultative meeting was held on 23rd April 2026 in the presence of the chairperson and officers of the District Council of Guampo together with stallholders concerned. Out of 74 stallholders invited, 62 attended the meeting. During discussion, a small number of stallholders raised concern mainly regarding ventilation, ceiling heights, and seating amenities for customers. I am informed that the District Council has already taken note of these observations and is presently undertaking the necessary additional works and adjustment. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that the food court project was initiated mainly to provide a more organized, safer, and dedicated space for food-related activities, particularly in view of the fact that the existing market fair does not presently hold a valid fire certificate. I am further informed that there are presently 36 stallholders engaged in cooking food on site, whereas 34 cooking stalls have initially been constructed. In this respect, the Council has already identified 2 additional stalls for extension and conversion so as to fully accommodate all concerned stallholders. As regards the stalls for the sales of already prepared food and beverages such as dal puri, biryani, aluda, juice, and salad, there are 36 stalls available for only 20 existing operators. Subsequently, the District Council of Guampo proposes to conduct an expression of interest exercise for the remaining stalls after completion of all formalities. For the operation of the food court, the District Council is required to obtain both a health clearance from the Ministry of Health and Wellness and a fire certificate from the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services. Site visits have already been carried out by the relevant authorities, and the Council is presently completing the remaining infrastructural and compliance requirements. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to Part C of the question, I am informed that the food court has been equipped with the necessary basic infrastructure and amenities, including the water supply, electricity supply, lighting facilities, ventilation arrangement, wastewater disposal system, extractor funds for cooking stall, and parking facilities. Provision has also been made for individual electricity supply to each stall following allocation. In addition, 4 wall fans have already been installed, and the Council is proposing the installation of 8 additional ceiling fans in order to further improve ventilation and comfort for both stallholders and members of the public. Ancillary works related to water, electricity, and wastewater disposal are also being analyzed. I'm informed that toilet facilities are not located directly within the food court itself. However, members of the public and stallholders will have access to existing sanitary facilities situated at the Roseville Market Fair and the Roseville Traffic Center, including facilities for men, women, and persons with disabilities. Necessary repairs work to certain facilities are also being attended to. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am also informed that the draft regulations governing the operation and management of the District Council of Guampo, Dr. James Betty David Food Court, have already been prepared and vetted by the legal advisor of the Council and are presently being processed for gazetting. The District Council of Guampo is proposing to render the food court operational as soon as all remaining minor works and statutory clearance are completed, including the issuance of the fire certificate and clearance, health clearance.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a food court by definition ought to make provisions for seating arrangements for customers to sit and eat. Would the Honourable Minister be able to enlighten the House as to whether this newly built food court is equipped with seating arrangements precisely for customers to sit and eat?
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. I am informed that the Council has already taken note of concern raised regarding seating arrangement and is examining additional provision within the space, available space, and in the compliance with safety requirements. So this also has been taken note by the Council.
My question was whether the food court, the newly built food court, has seating arrangements for people to sit and eat. And
He said the council is looking into it.
is looking into it. Further question, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, does the Honourable Minister find it normal for a newly built food court not to be equipped with toilet facilities so that, as he said himself, customers have to walk all the way to late Dr. James Bertie David Market Fair to have access to toilet facilities?
Honourable Minister.
I just said, Deputy Speaker, sir, it's only from the main market to the food court, we have only 40 meters. So it's not far. And in fact, the toilet for the disabled one is broken. We are all repairing all these for men, women, and disabled one, and repair it. And even you can use for traffic center toilet, and even the main toilet at the Roseville fairs.
Honourable First Member for Piton-Rivière du Rapport.
B744.
So, Deputy Speaker, sir, I read a Facebook post from the Honourable Prayak of last Saturday afternoon, that is 3 days ago, thanking me and the NTC for the addition of 9 electric buses to operate from the Rivière-du-Rempart depot. From the photo I saw, he even visited the buses at the depot. Deputy Speaker, sir, I have to mention that we could afford to send these 9 new electric buses, which in real terms cost more than 100 million rupees, because they came to us from a fleet of 100 buses evaluated at more than ₹1 billion, generously donated by the Government of India to the Government of Mauritius in 5 batches, the last one of which was delivered on 8 April 2026, last month. Deputy Speaker, sir, I have to mention that even before the final handing over of the e-buses by His Excellency Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister to the Republic of India, on Friday 9 April 2026, a large number of e-buses were already in operation, and the number increased with each passing week to reach 90 buses today out of the 100 electric buses. The spreading out of these buses among the various depots of the NTC are as follows: 21 at Rémy Ollier Depot, 41 from Latour Koenig Depot, 19 from Forest Side Depot, and 9 from Rivière-du-Rempart Depot, which I just mentioned. These buses are already providing services along 10 routes, which ply from Rémy Ollier Depot, 13 routes from Latour Koenig Depot, 6 routes from Forest Side Depot, and 4 routes from Rivière-du-Rempart Depot. The deployment of the 10 remaining electric buses will continue under a phased hybrid model combining both diesel and e-buses to ensure optimal service. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to part A of the question, I am informed that all the 100 e-buses will be fully operational by June 2026, meaning next month. In regard to part B of the question, I have to point out that the Government of the Republic of India has donated 20 electric chargers along with the 100 e-buses. 2 chargers have already been installed at Rémy Ollier Depot and 7 at Latour Koenig Depot. 2 additional chargers are currently being installed by the Indian authorities at Latour Koenig Depot. The installation works are nearing completion and will be most probably be completed this week. I am given to understand that the remaining chargers would be installed at the Forest Side Depot by the end of June 2026, next month. And with this, the operationalization of the 100 electric buses will be completed.
Yes.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Is the ministry considering to train all staff, I mean mechanical repair staff for different depots to be able to repair these electric buses in their own depots, minor repairs if in case they fall, if they break down?
Yes, I am given to understand that training is ongoing and also capacity building is being done by the Indian side as well.
Thank you. The Honourable Third Member for Flak and Bulakai.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, sir. B745.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that Mrs. LP joined as the Director of FIU on 4 March 2025. With regard to Part A of the question, the terms and conditions of her appointment are as follows. She draws a monthly salary of 161,100 rupees, a salary compensation of 3,400 rupees, a petrol allowance of 18,415 rupees, and a phone allowance amounting to 1,500 rupees. Second, she uses the car, an organization's car, and the services of a driver of the FIU. Third, she earns passage benefit at the rate of 5% per annum of her annual salary drawn. She is also eligible for a gratuity of 2-month salary payable after completion of 12-month satisfactory service, and she's eligible for loan facilities of a maximum of 12-month salary at interest rate of 4% per annum, refundable in 48 monthly installments subject to production of a bank guarantee. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B of the question, the FIU informed that the Director has up to date attended 8 missions since her appointment, which has cost 1,532,900 rupees. I am hereby tabling the details regarding the mission attended and the costs incurred for each mission in terms of air ticket, per diem, and other allowances.
Yes, Honorable Abdul.
Can the Honorable Minister suggest that will she consider resigning to follow the steps of her husband?
I will ask her.
The Honorable Third Member for Bobassa, Petite Rivière.
B746.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the Mauritius Recreational Council, a parastatal body falling under my ministry, was established under the Mauritius Recreational Council Act 2021. It is responsible for the promotion and organization of recreational activities in Mauritius. Activities, programs, and events are organized by the Council with fundings granted by my ministry and the Looted Fund. It is to be noted that the MRC has been organizing activities in different parts of the island in line with its objectives, as per Section 4 of the Mauritius Recreational Council Act 2021. The activities organized by the MRC encompass recreational, sports, and leisure opportunities and are structured to ensure that individuals of different age groups can participate meaningfully. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the MRC has organized activities in many regions which were not touched before. The Council has also collaborates with the NGOs, associations, clubs, and other bodies for the organization of activities. I'm informed by the Mauritius Recreational Council that since 1st July 2025 to date, 23 activities, programs, and events have been organized across the island. The total cost for these activities has been met fully under the budget of the MRC to a tune of 5.54 million. However, I'm also informed that MRC has collaborated with other associations, agencies, NGOs for the organization of the other 127 recreational sports and leisure activities around the island. Regarding the nature of these activities, venue where activities are organized by the MRC, as well as those organized by other organizations, and within the MRC collaborated, along with a number of participants and the NGOs, associations, clubs, or other bodies and the financial contribution and sponsorship received. I'm tabling the details thereof.
L'honorable ministre peut-il indiquer à la Chambre quelles mesures ont été prises pour assurer la transparence dans l'octroi des contrats, tels que la location d'équipements et prestations de services liés aux activités organisées?
Funds distributed by the Moses Reconciliation Council for the conduct of activities, they are the procurement officers that deal with the procurement, and all activities are well managed within the council.
Monsieur le vice-président, l'honorable ministre peut-il nous dire si une évaluation indépendante a été effectuée afin de mesurer l'impact de ces programmes sur la jeunesse, en particulier dans les régions affectées par le fléau de la drogue?
I'm going to table the list of activities that has been done throughout the MRC, and the honourable member will acknowledge what activities has been done first and where the activities has been done. If we go through the papers that I'm going to table, it will go and find out what we have been done.
Si vous me permettez,
Une autre question.
une dernière question, mais aussi je souhaiterais revenir sur la réponse de l'honorable ministre. Ma question est simple. Je lui ai demandé, est-ce qu'une évaluation indépendante a été effectuée pour mesurer l'impact réel des programmes, des activités qui ont été organisées, en particulier dans les régions affectées par le fléau de la drogue? Il a répondu totalement à côté. Je passe à la prochaine question. Peut-il préciser quels critères sont utilisés pour sélectionner les ONG, associations et clubs bénéficiant d'une collaboration avec le Mauritius Recreation Council?
This organization has been already established in the past, and we are working with these organizations. And I'm going to table what the honourable member is saying. I'm not going à côté de la plaque. Et vous allez voir vous-même avec vos preuves. Vous allez voir, c'est tellement volumineux. C'est tellement volumineux que je ne peux pas prendre le temps de la Chambre. Que je vais prendre le temps de la Chambre pour dire un par un. Allez voir vous-même l'honorable membre. Et puis vous allez.
Thank you. The Honourable Second Member for Mayberg and Permaillon.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. B747.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Chief Fire Officer that the relocation of the Maibu Meba station has been under the consideration for several years in view of the operational needs to provide a more adequate, accessible, strategically located facility to better serve the region of Meba, Lanmagnan, Beauvallon, and surrounding areas. I'm informed that in 2017, the Ministry of Local Government requested the Ministry of Housing and Land to identify an appropriate plot of land of an extent of approximately 1 acre for the relocation of fire station from Meba to Beauvallon or its periphery. I'm further informed that a plot of land adjoining the Beauvallon football ground had initially been identified for that purpose. However, despite consultation and negotiation carried out at the level of the relevant authorities, the owner of the land, namely Compagnie de Beauvallon Limited, was not agreeable to release the land. Consequently, the proposed acquisition process could not be finalized and alternative options had to be explored. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, following further consultation held in December 2025 and on 16 January 2026, with the Ministry of Housing and Land and other stakeholders, a site visit was carried out on the 20 January 2026 in the presence of representatives of my ministry, the Ministry of Housing and Land, the Ministry of National Infrastructure, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Service, and representative of Compagnie de Beauvallon Limited. I am informed that following these consultation and site assessment, 2 alternative sites situated along the Penmagnon Mabel 810 road at Beauvallon were identified as being potentially suitable for the relocation of the Mabel fire station. The first proposed site of an extent of approximately 1 arpent is located near the Sea Lab Beauvallon and adjoining the Muga Beauvallon and is owned by Compagnie de Beauvallon Limited. The second proposed site of an extent of approximately 1.15 arpent is located opposite the Sea Lab Beauvallon near the roundabout area and is owned by King Savers Limited. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that following consultation with the architect of the Ministry of National Infrastructure and relevant technical authorities, both sites may be considered for the construction of the new fire station, subject to the requirement technical clearance and statutory approvals from the relevant authorities, including the Land Drainage Authority, the Road Development Authority, the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit, and other concerned agencies. In order to proceed with the project in coordinated and transparent manner, the Fire and Rescue Service addressed a formal correspondence on 28 January 2026 to the Ministry of Housing and Land, requesting that clearances, technical views, and evaluation exercise be initiated in respect of both sites in parallel so as to facilitate an informed decision regarding the eventual acquisition of the most appropriate site. I am further informed that following a reminder issued on 15 May 2026, the Ministry of Housing and Land confirms that the views of the relevant authorities has been received at its level, including the views of the Land Drainage Authority, which were communicated on the 11th May 2026. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed that the Ministry of Housing and Land is expected to convene a technical meeting with all stakeholders concerned so that a final assessment may be carried out and a clear and reasoned decision may be taken regarding the most suitable site for the relocation of the Mayberg fire station prior to the initiation of the land acquisition procedures. A further joint site visit is also expected to be carried out with all the authorities concerned, and the Honourable Member and his 2 colleagues of his constituency will be invited accordingly. As regard to the implementation time frame of the project, same will depend on the completion of the land acquisitions procedures, the outcome of the technical clearance, geotechnical assessment, and other statutory and administrative requirements connected with the selected site. However, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to reassure the House that relevant ministries and authorities are actively pursuing the matter so that the relocation project may be proceeded within the shortest possible delay once all procedures and approvals have been completed. Thank you.
The Honourable Second Member for Belrose Calbourne.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président. B749.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the Taxi Operators Welfare Fund was established pursuant to the coming into operation of the Taxi Operators Welfare Fund Act 2021, with the objective of promoting the advancement and welfare of the taxi operators and their families. The fund became fully operative as from January 2022. By virtue of Section 5 of the TWOF Act, the fund is administered by and managed by a board of the composition of which is governed by Section 5.2 of the Act. The board consists of a part-time chairperson and 4 representatives of taxi operators, as well as 3 members representing different ministries, as mentioned in the Act. In addition, a secretary provides administrative support to the board. With regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that the fees payable to the chairperson and members of the board are determined by the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reforms. The part-time chairperson of the fund is eligible to a monthly fee of 22,000 rupees, while each member is paid a fee of 1,500 rupees per sitting up to a maximum of 3,000 rupees per month, as well as travelling allowance of 375 rupees for each sitting, where applicable. The secretary is paid a fee of 1,650 per sitting and up to a maximum of 3,003 rupees 3.3K per month. The TOWF was reconstituted on 20 June 2025 for a period of 2 years. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that the TOWF has no permanent staff under its establishment. Currently, the TWOF is being manned by officers of my ministry, with one officer assigned the duties of administrative officer against the payment of an allowance, as approved by the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform, and 7 other staff of the General Administration cadre against payment of appropriate allowances. As regards part B of the question, I am informed that since it's the inception of the fund up to 30th April 2026, a total sum of 2.86 million rupees has been disbursed as remuneration, detailed as follows: 2.863321.05 to be precise. 2.863 million 321 rupees 0.05 cents. Attendance fees to chairperson and members 721,940 rupees. Allowances to administrative staff 921,527 and 81 cents to the rupee. Overtime payment 1.228 million rupees 264.84. Out of the amount of overtime payment, Deputy Speaker, sir, which is part of the substantive question, a staggering sum of 1.13.011 million rupees was allocated to the then administrative manager, that is prior to the 2024 general election. I wish to point out that since the new board was reconstituted, to date, overtime amounting to only 62,565 only has been paid to the administrative staff for clearing a backlog which cropped up due to the fact that there was no board sittings between September 2024 all the way to October 2025. 166 applications received during that period from taxi operators were processed through overtime performance, and a sum of 3.45 million rupees was consequently disbursed as support to taxi operators. Deputy Speaker, sir, when the board of the TWOF was reconstituted in April last year, I met with all the members and outlined what I expected from their management of the fund. I also broadly charted out the host of responsibilities devolving on them to meet the legitimate expectation of the taxi operators. Some 10 months have elapsed, and I take note grievances are still being voiced out by some operators on radios and other media on the lack of communication from the fund on existing welfare schemes, on delays in the processing of applications, and also on the absence of schemes they consider essential to meet their operational needs. As I take note of these grievances, I expect the members of the fund to take quick measures to make the fund more responsive institution. Thank you.
Yes,
Je remercie Monsieur le Vice-président, je remercie le ministre pour sa réponse. Le ministre peut-il expliquer à la Chambre comment une telle somme, il est question d'un montant, il vient de préciser, d'un montant de plus d'1 million de roupies pour des heures supplémentaires, mais comment une telle somme a été autorisée et préciser s'il estime qu'il y a eu abus ou absence de contrôle dans ce dossier. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président.
Yeah, Deputy Speaker, sir, I was quite astonished to see the figure as well. If I take the previous manager and today's manager, the previous manager has drawn 92% of the total overtime paid, and the current manager has drawn only 8%. So there is something quite awkward there. We'll have to probe into and see what went wrong there. Because this money belongs to the taxi operators.
Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. En tout cas, le ministre Ganou, excusez-moi, mais il a fait fort. Hein. Le ministre peut-il indiquer à la Chambre si cette situation ne nécessite-t-elle pas l'ouverture d'une enquête? De nombreux chauffeurs de taxi de ma circonscription, de notre circonscription, sont concernés dans cette affaire. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Vice-président.
Deputy Speaker, in the interest of the taxi community, I will ask the internal control unit of my ministry to probe into this anomaly and come up with a report on this.
Yes, you have a question.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, sir. Does the minister still consider to make this fund, this contribution, optional as discussed in several meetings at his ministry, and or attach any benefit when taxi drivers are paying such funds? Thank you.
Deputy Speaker, sir, out of the 7,208 something...
Try to be very brief with your answer because this question has nothing to do with the main question.
If we do this, if we make it optional, the fund will collapse.
Okay. Thank you. The Honourable Third Member for Bobassa Mchitrilia.
B750.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, youth development remains a key national priority for government, and my ministry continues to implement programs aimed at promoting youth empowerment, leadership, social responsibility, and national cohesion. My ministry is proposing to establish a national cadet corps in Mauritius, inspired by the successful model of the National Cadet Corps of India, which has been operational since 1948 and has proven effective in promoting discipline, leadership, civic responsibility, and patriotism. Among youth, several Commonwealth countries have adopted the NCC concept to suit their national realities and have achieved positive outcomes in youth engagement and leadership development. The proposed establishment of a national cadet scope in Mauritius is very important as it intends to provide a structured platform for inculcating discipline, leadership, citizenship, patriotism, and civic responsibility among youth. This program would aim at promoting characters building, social responsibility, teamwork, and community service while helping young people develop resilience, self-confidence, and respect for national institutions. It will also contribute towards strengthening social cohesion and encouraging youth participation in nation-building activities. In this context, Mr. Deputy Speaker, my ministry started consultation in 2025 with the Indian Ministry of Defense through the High Commission of India in Mauritius. The Indian authorities recommended that a study be undertaken by high-level officers to the NCC India in order to obtain first-hand exposure to the structured administration training program and operational framework of the Indian NCC prior to any decision of implementation in Mauritius. Following government approval in November 2025 and the availability of the Indian authorities, a high-level delegation proceeded to the NCC India from 19 to 25 April 2026. The delegation comprised the acting permanent secretary of my ministry, who had the delegation, a deputy commissioner of police, and the advisor in social and political matters of my ministry. The high-level delegation through this visit was tasked to gain an understanding of the structure and management of the Indian NCC model, obtain information and discuss on curriculum design, training modules, and cadet progression systems, identified areas where technical and material assistance may be required, assess the budgetary implication for implementation in Mauritius, identify potential implementation risks and challenges, propose an appropriate structure for the NCC adapted to the Mauritian context, and identify elements for the drafting of a memorandum of understanding between Mauritius and India for collaboration in the implementation of the proposed NCC in Mauritius. Exchanges in India took place with the top hierarchical officers of the NCC and were very productive. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, as regard part B of the question, the cost of the air ticket and the relevant allowances of officers of my ministry were met under the approved budgetary provision of the ministry, while the airfares along with the relevant allowances for the police officers or the officers from the Mauritius Police Force was borne by the police department accommodation and inland transportation costs for the high-level delegation were met by the Indian authorities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in as far as part C of the question is concerned, I'm informed that the mission report, including key findings and recommendations, is at a drafting stage. The signing of the Memorandum of Understanding with the Indian authorities for technical cooperation and guidance is also being proposed. Discussions are currently being pursued with the Indian side prior to finalize the MOU. I'm further informed that the Indian authorities have expressed their willingness to extend technical and material support in areas such as provision of technical expertise for curriculum design, training and implementation, capacity building and consultancy support, assistance with uniforms and basic equipment, and facilitation of exchange program and cadet visit. This area of cooperation would ultimately be considered within the framework of the proposed Memorandum of Understanding between the two countries. Further, consultation will also be undertaken with all relevant stakeholders in Mauritius and also with the Indian authorities before final recommendations are submitted to government. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that in order to guide preliminary works on the project, my ministry will proceed with the setting up a steering committee at its level comprising representatives from the Mauritius Police Force, the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services, the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Center, the National Youth Council, and other ministries, departments as may be required. Same has already been approved by government in November 2025. A meeting of this steering committee will soon be held. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the proposed establishment of a national cadets code in Mauritius is an important and sensitive initiative which requires careful consultation, proper planning, and broad institutional coordination. My ministry is therefore proceeding in a responsible and consultative manner to ensure that any proposed framework is adapted to the Mauritian context and serves the best interests of our youth and the country as a whole. The more so when our youth are facing so many challenges, any MOU to be signed needs full consideration and consultation and should follow the necessary procedures.
Monsieur le Vice-président, tout en constatant le côté positif de ce programme, s'il est bien implémenté, je voudrais cependant demander à l'honorable ministre pourquoi il a préféré déléguer son advisor, de surcroît un agent politique, au lieu d'un technicien de la section jeunesse de son ministère. Doit-on déduire que c'est son advisor qui, par la suite, va implémenter le programme à la place des techniciens de la section jeunesse de son ministère?
Honourable member should be aware that all policy decisions are taken by my ministry. And to form part of a delegation, we know who is the competent people who can advise us when they come back to Mauritius. So we have no lesson to take from anybody else. We have the permanent secretary who led the delegation, Mr. Dorma Mouche. is an advisor in social and political matters. He is called upon to assist and advise me on the impact of these projects. And the Honourable Chair has a track record. If the Honourable Member will find out, you will find that he has a track record. He has even worked for the ex-Prime Minister who is sitting here in this August Assembly. He has been an advisor for that minister. So before you put a question, you should know beforehand that people who can contribute for the country. It might be an advisor, but the knowledge he has, the knowledge he's going to share among us, this is the priority of all. Everything that you ask nowadays, all questions that you ask about somebody, an advisor, political, everybody do political in this country. So, am I going to be ashamed to send someone who is politically...
Okay, Honourable Minister, I think you have answered the question.
So next time, I would ask you, please, do your homework before you come to the House.
Monsieur le vice-président, je n'ai aucune leçon à recevoir de l'honorable ministre.
Put your question.
Et j'aimerais qu'il nous dise, il a parlé de personnes compétentes. Est-ce qu'il veut dire qu'au niveau des techniciens de la section jeunesse de son ministère, il n'y a pas de personnes compétentes capables d'être déléguées et par la suite venir implémenter le programme? Je le dis, je le répète, il est positif. Je n'ai absolument rien contre le programme, mais comment se fait-il qu'on oublie qu'on a des techniciens qui par la suite vont venir implémenter le programme?
Probably one day when you become Minister of Youth and Sport, you can choose whoever you want. But as regards now, what decision we have taken the right choice. The implementation is going on, and then we are going to seek for a...
The Honourable Second Member for Grand Pépou de l'eau.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, Sir. B751.
Monsieur le Vice-président, en ce qui concerne la partie A de la question, je suis informé par le CEB que le solde découvert bancaire au 30 avril 2026 était de 2,6 milliards de roupies, dont 750 millions de prêts sur le marché monétaire. J'ai également été informé que, dans le but de réduire ses frais d'intérêt bancaire, le CEB a refinancé une partie de son découvert bancaire en contractant 2 prêts à terme de 2 milliards de roupies mauriciennes, chacun auprès d'abord de la SBM, ensuite de Afraja Bank. Monsieur le Vice-président, en ce qui concerne la partie B de la question, j'ai été informé que le CEB a contracté des prêts bancaires suivants pour financer des investissements. A. Un prêt d'un montant de 322 millions de roupies auprès de l'Export and Import Bank of India le 2 août 2021 pour la mise en place d'une centrale photovoltaïque de 8 MW à Anyeta. B. Un prêt de 110 millions de USD le 21 juillet 2023 auprès de la Banque africaine de développement pour le financement d'un projet de 10 postes de transformation des GIS, des bushings, pour pouvoir mettre de l'énergie renouvelable ou d'autres énergies sur notre réseau. J'ai été informé que le solde total des prêts au 30 avril 2026 se levait à 3,3 milliards de roupies pour les prêts étrangers. Comme je l'ai indiqué précédemment, Monsieur le Vice-président, le CEB a contracté des prêts locaux aussi d'un montant total de 4 milliards de roupies auprès de l'Afraja Bank et de la State Bank of Mauritius.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House how the CB in 2022, with a surplus of around 7 billion rupees, not million rupees, billion rupees, has ended today with a deficit of around billion rupees? How?
Monsieur le Vice-président, on peut dire que, pour répondre à l'honorable membre, c'est qu'ils ont bangolé l'argent de la population. pour vous donner une partie de ce qui a été fait dans le passé par le chef du département démantèlement des finances, l'ancien ministre des Finances, Padayachi, qui s'asseyait ici, pour vous dire, Monsieur le Vice-président, en quelques semaines, et je pense que c'est important de rétablir certaines choses aujourd'hui en ce qui concerne les finances du CUB. Il est vrai de dire que juste avant les dernières élections générales, personnellement, j'avais fait des déclarations concernant la baisse des tarifs de l'électricité de 15%. Cela a été dit, a été redit en boucle sur les réseaux sociaux. C'est important aujourd'hui à l'Assemblée nationale de rétablir certaines choses. J'ai été voir, comme nommé ministre par le Premier ministre, j'ai été voir les finances du CEB pour me demander comment faire pour effectivement baisser les tarifs d'électricité. Laissez-moi, Monsieur le Président, avec votre permission, dire à la population en quelques paragraphes ce que l'ancien ministre des Finances, avec la complicité de l'ancien Premier ministre et l'ancien ministre de l'Énergie, ils ont fait avec le démantèlement quelques semaines de l'argent du CUB. Le 29 novembre 2021 à midi, 700 millions de roupies ont été retirés des comptes du CUB pour être transférés dans le Consolidated Fund à l'initiative de l'ancien ministre des Finances, Renganaden Padayachi, avec l'aval du gouvernement MSM. Le même jour, à 17h de l'après-midi, des instructions sont données par le ministère des Finances pour un retrait de 600 millions de roupies des comptes du CEB, l'argent que j'allais utiliser pour baisser les tarifs de l'électricité, soit 1,3 milliard de roupies en un seul jour, le 29 novembre 2021, 1,3 milliard de roupies prélevées en une seule journée dans les comptes du CEB, l'argent de la population. Monsieur le Vice-président, le 24 décembre, alors que tout le monde, le 24 décembre 2021, tout le monde se préparait pour fêter la fête de Noël le lendemain. Le 24 décembre à 4h de l'après-midi, ils ne sont pas partis à la maison, ils sont toujours au bureau le 24 décembre 2021. Le ministre des Finances, recevant des instructions de l'ancien Premier ministre, donne des instructions au ministre du temps d'alors, Jolly Jonga, pour transférer 300 millions de roupies de l'argent du CEB, puis 900 millions de roupies le même jour, 1,2 milliard supplémentaires prélevés en l'espace de quelques heures à la veille de la fête de Noël des comptes du CEB. Et aujourd'hui, j'entends l'honorable Padayachi, l'ancien ministre des Finances, venir nous accuser que nous avons imprimé de l'argent, alors qu'il a dévalisé les comptes du CEB. Malheureusement, Monsieur le Vice-président, ce n'est pas tout. Le 28 janvier 2022, dans l'après-midi, le ministère des Finances, avec M. Padayachi, donnait encore des instructions au CEB pour transférer cette fois-ci 500 millions de roupies pour envoyer dans le Consolidated Fund. Au total, Monsieur le Vice-président, l'honorable membre me posait la question, comment est-ce possible que nous sommes sortis en 2022 à 7 milliards de roupies de surplus, à 2024 à des déficits, alors que nous, dans l'opposition, on se disait qu'on allait utiliser cet argent-là pour baisser l'électricité. J'ai posé la question à l'honorable Padayachi quand j'étais assis ici dans l'opposition. Et il m'avait dit, oui, effectivement, nous pensons à transférer 3,2 milliards. Au total, c'est 3,6 milliards de roupies qui ont été siphonnés en quelques semaines, selon un calendrier qui interroge autant que les montants eux-mêmes. Les coupables, à mon avis, puisque nous n'avons pas pu baisser les tarifs d'électricité, les coupables, l'ancien Premier ministre, l'ancien ministre des Finances et l'ancien ministre de l'Énergie.
Question B, 752, s'il vous plaît.
Mr. the Deputy Speaker, sir, before replying to the substance of the question, allow me to provide a brief background for the benefit of the House. In June 2025, China announced the introduction of a new trade framework called the Framework Agreement on Economic Partnership for Shared Development with African countries. The new trade framework proposed to extend a zero-tariff treatment on 100% of tariff lines to 53 African countries for their exports to China following bilateral negotiations with each of them. On the 28th of April 2026, China issued an announcement that it will unilaterally grant the zero-tariff treatment to 20 African countries having diplomatic relations with it, but which are not classified as least developed countries, without the need for bilateral negotiations. The 20 African countries include Mauritius, and the zero-tariff treatment is applicable for a 2-year period as from the 1st of May 2026 to the 30th of April 2028. Thus, Mauritian exporters can already take advantage of the zero-tariff treatment on all the exports to China as from the 1st of May 2026, subject to applicable rules of origin. Within the 2-year implementation period of the zero-tariff treatment, that is from the 1st of May 2026, Mauritius will have to negotiate and upgrade its current FTA with China. As the House is aware, Mauritius signed a free trade agreement with China in October 2019, which entered into force on the 1st of January 2021. The purpose of the upgrade is to ensure that we continue to benefit from the zero-tariff treatment for our exports to China and to ensure long-term predictability and consistency with the World Trade Organization rules. One of our main exports to China is sugar, and for this product, we are informed by the Chinese side that the tariff rate quota, the TRQ, of 50,000 tons currently granted to Mauritian sugar under the FTA will be maintained as granted under the FTA, with 15% duty in quota instead of the normal tariff of 50%. We are also informed that Mauritian exporters will have the option to choose between the preferential tariff treatment under the existing FTA or the new zero-tariff treatment. The choice will depend on the most commercially advantageous option for our exporters, but will remain subject to compliance with the applicable rules of origins under each arrangement. Mr. the Deputy Speaker, sir, a key feature of the zero-tariff measure is cumulation. This means that producers can source inputs from eligible African countries having an agreement with China for manufacturing in Mauritius and exporting duty-free to China as an originating product. This extensively enlarges our source of inputs for manufacturing locally. It is to be noted that since the zero-tariff measure is new, Mauritius is in constant communication with the Chinese authorities to seek additional information pertaining to the modalities and operational procedures and details. Mr. the Deputy Speaker, sir, having provided the background, let me now respond to part A of the question by saying that the zero-tariff treatment granted by the People's Republic of China as from the 1st of May 2026 is unilateral, and therefore Mauritius is not required to reciprocate the zero-tariff treatment. As regards part B1 of the question, the current FTA between Mauritius and China is the first of its kind that China has concluded with an African country. The FTA is indeed beneficial to Mauritius. Under the FTA, China has committed to eliminate tariffs on 8,547 tariff lines on goods over a period of 7 years. The concession covers a wide range of products, including garments, frozen fish, paints, wines and spirits, dairy products, and chemicals. In addition, China has granted Mauritius an export quota of 50,000 tons of sugar at a preferential tariff rate of 15% instead of the normal rate of 50%. Mauritius, for its part, has provided China with duty-free access on 192 tariff lines and reduced tariffs on a further 51 tariff lines. The House may wish to note that at the time the FTA was signed, approximately 93% of our tariff lines were already duty-free to all countries. It is also worth noting that China was already the main import market of Mauritius, even prior to FTA, can contribute meaningfully in reducing the trade deficit that since the entry into force of the FTA in 2021 until 6 of May. While trade flows have fluctuated over the years, exports to China under the FTA have recently shown an increase from some 126 million rupees in 2024 to 449 million rupees in 2025. The main export products include textile products and sugar. The significant increase in the export data from 2024 to 2025 is mainly due to export of sugar to China under the TRQ. The House may note that 14 local businesses are currently exporting their products to China under the FTA. Mr. the Deputy Speaker, sir, in terms of impact on local producers, the FTA has created new export opportunities, especially for sugar and textile products. There remains further export potentials for products such as fresh agricultural produce, seafood, and special sugar. Discussions are ongoing with stakeholders to identify additional products for export to China and to address implementation challenges with a view to help them take full advantage of the FTA. Another concrete outcome of the FTA has been the establishment of the China-Mauritius Renminbi Clearing Center in June 2025. This center, which is based in Mauritius, greatly facilitates payment systems for business operators dealing with China, thereby reducing transaction cost. May I be allowed, Mr. the Deputy Speaker, to have a sip of water? Concerning part B2 of the question, I wish to inform the House that, as per information provided by the Ministry of Finance, the duty concessions relating to trade in goods under the FTA cover only import duties, that is, tariffs, and are not applicable to excise duties. Consequently, there is no revenue foregone in terms of excise duties arising from the implementation of the FTA. However, regarding import duties, the total amount foregone as at date is around 330 million rupees. However, I need also to state that import duties paid under MFN, that is, goods that are not eligible under the FTA, for period 1st of January 2020 to May 2026, we have collected approximately 3 billion rupees. So, Mr. the Deputy Speaker, sir, to conclude, I wish to add that trade is not only about revenue generation or revenue loss. It is much more than that. It is conventional wisdom that free trade contributes to the welfare of consumers in terms of wider choice and more competitive pricing. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Joel.
Thank you. Can the Honourable Minister inform the House whether, following this agreement, are we importing more and more from China, or it is more or less the same?
As I've said, we are currently negotiating the new FTA framework. There are currently 2 officers who are in China, and they are having a training session, and they are being trained on the implementation of the new FTA. Once they are back, negotiations will follow, and then we'll decide whether we'll go ahead with the new FTA or not.
The Honourable Second Member for Warwick.
Thank you. B-stroke 753.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I am informed by the State Trading Corporation that the monthly consumption of long-grain white rice amounts to 1,650 metric tons in Mauritius and 400 metric tons in Rodrigues. With regard to part A of the question, I am informed that for the period of 1st November 2025 to January 2026, the buying prices of long-grain white rice per metric ton on a cost and freight basis were as follows. The price of long-grain white rice in 25 kg bags is 398 USD per metric ton, while that in 5 kg packs is 428 USD per metric ton. This is an average equivalent to 26 rupees and 22 cents per kilogram, resulting in an estimated subsidy of 380 million rupees for the period July 2025 to June 2026, based on a total estimated quantity of 25,000 metric tons over this period. The maximum retail price for 500 grams is 5 rupees and 40 cents. 2.5 kilo is 28 rupees. 5 kg is 56 rupees, and 25 kg is 270 rupees. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B of the question, I am further informed by the STC that the current stock for Mauritius is 3,511 metric tons, which represents 70 days consumption, as at 18th of May 2026. The stock of long-grain white rice for Rodrigues, as at 18th May 2026, was 565 metric tons, representing 45 days consumption. A next shipment of 200 metric tons of long-grain white rice is expected to reach Rodrigues around 11th of June 2026. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regards to Part B1, I'm given to understand that the long-grain white rice procured by STC is stored in Shed A warehouse in Mer Rouge, Port Louis in Mauritius, with storage capacity of 5,500 metric tons, and in STC granary with storage capacity of 900 metric tons at Port Mathurin in Rodrigues. In order to ensure quality assurance of long-grain white rice, the STC regularly carries out fumigation exercises in both warehouses, that is in Shed A warehouse in Port Louis, Mauritius, and in the granary warehouse at Port Mathurin in Rodrigues. Furthermore, both warehouses are kept well ventilated so as to minimize moisture, humidity level therein. With regards to Part B2, I am informed that to ascertain the quality of a strategic commodity in line with the provision made in the bidding document for long-grain white rice, each supplier of long-grain white rice is mandatorily required to submit to the STC the under-mentioned documents prior to any consignment reaching Port Louis, Mauritius. 1. A health certificate certifying that the rice is fit for human consumption, issued by a public body or its authorized agency in the country of supply. 2. Pre-shipment inspection certificate issued by an independent and internationally recognized inspections agency like SGS or Bureau Veritas. 3. Fumigation certificate issued by a public body or its authorized agency in the country of supply. 4. Phytosanitary certificate issued by a public body in the country of supply. And 5. Container cleanliness certificate issued by independent and internationally recognized inspection agency, presently SGS and Bureau Veritas.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Honourable Minister. Will the Honourable Minister inform the House as to where matters stand with regards to the construction of the new STC warehouse in Oryx? If you have information.
In fact, I met the Chief Commissioner of Rodrigues last week. We had a meeting and we are discussing about the warehouse, and he will try to identify a place to allocate it to the State Trading Corporation.
Will the Honourable Minister agree to request, despite his good answers, a thorough investigations following various complaints received regards to the quality of ration rice when cooked, what we call in the local language, jiri labu, le cuivin labu. And then, despite the remarkable and appreciated efforts by MSCL to ship rice to Rodrigues in brand new containers.
I will check with the STC whether the quality is okay right now, and I will revert back to you.
The Honourable Third Member for Rodrigues.
Thank you, sir. B755.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for this question, a very topical one indeed. Mauritius has, over the recent years, experienced a rapid increase in the use of digital technologies and online platforms. While these platforms offer many benefits, they also expose users, especially our children and youth, to significant risks, including cyberbullying, harassment, sextortion, scams, exploitation, and child pornography. Every single online harm on our children is far too many, and it is our duty to protect our children from such ills. This situation today has become unacceptable. In the first 4 months of this year only, there have been 81 reported cases of online harms caused to our children under the age of 16. In other words, every 3 days, there have been 2 children falling victim to online harms. And in some cases, cyberbullying incidents have had severe consequences, including tragic loss of life among young people. The impact of social media on mental health and well-being of our young people is receiving increasing international attention. In April 2026, the World Health Organization highlighted that certain patterns of technology and social media use may contribute to risks such as anxiety, depression, sleep disorder, particularly among vulnerable young people. Several countries, including Australia, have introduced or are considering restrictions on access to social media platforms for children under the age of 16. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'd like to refer to the reply given by my colleague, Honorable Ganga Prasad, to PQ B99 on 24th March 2026, in which he stated that his ministry, with the support of mine, had launched an awareness campaign on cyberbullying. I also refer to my reply PQ B17 from Honorable Sababati on 24th March 2026, where I outlined the measures my ministry took and further intends to take to address the growing concerns about the risks and harmful effects faced by young people on social media. As mentioned in my reply on 24th March, my ministry, together with the ICTA, has taken steps to reduce children's exposure to harmful and illegal contents on the internet. Accordingly, in December 2025, a child online protection measure which provides easy-to-use parental control solutions was launched by 3 internet service providers, namely MTEL Limited, Mauritius Telecom Limited, and Mahanagar Telephone Mauritius Limited. On Monday, 11th of May, we launched together with Mauritius Telecom Phase 2 of Child Online Protection, which gives further governance powers to parents to remotely administer the mobile phones of their children. This allows a parent to remotely switch off the mobile phone of the child or control which applications will this child have access to and during which time band. This will go a long way in empowering parents to provide additional protection to their children. Further, my ministry has initiated preliminary consultations with various stakeholders on delaying access to social media for children below the age of 16 for stronger online protection for children. The consultations, along with the experience of Australia, have highlighted several challenges, including the need for reliable technical ecosystem for age verification process, compliance with data protection requirements, cooperation from social media platform owners, and the prevention of the use of virtual private networks to bypass restriction are some of the challenges. Although Mauritius has already established laws such as Data Protection Act, the Information and Communication Technologies Act, the Children's Act, and the Cyber Security and Cybercrime Act, there is currently no specific provision regarding access to social media platform based on age. In fact, those platforms, they actually ask the age of the applicant or the user. Below 13, they do not allow access, but children tend to give ages that don't reflect their actual age. Mauritius is therefore likely to face similar implementation challenges as Australia if access to social media platforms were to be delayed for children under a certain age. Discussions are well underway in order to gauge the position and views of relevant stakeholders to understand the benefits and challenges of such an approach in Mauritius. However, Mr. Deputy Speaker, no final official position has currently been taken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The Honourable Third Member for Port East South, Port East Central.
B756, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that at present, persons with disabilities are entitled to an invalid basic pension or a disability allowance after an assessment is carried out by a medical board which falls under the aegis of the medical unit of my ministry. The basic invalid pension is granted based on the degree of disability associated with the medical condition for a definite period ranging from 1 year to 5 years, and in some cases, permanently. In regard to Part A of the question, the number of beneficiaries of invalidity pension, as well as the number of cases where payment thereof has been stopped for the period of January 2024 to December 2025 on a yearly basis is as follows. Year 2024, the total number of beneficiaries were 31,904, and the total number of beneficiaries whose pension have been stopped is 4,168. For 2025, the total number of beneficiaries were 31,262, and the total number of beneficiaries whose pension have been stopped was 3,801. The possible reasons for pensions to be being stopped are as follows. The applicant no more meets the criteria set out in the present medical guidelines, and these vary from case to case. B, the beneficiaries are granted basic invalid pension for a defined period without reboarding reassessment, such as pacemaker, fracture, etc. C, some beneficiaries did not appear at the medical board for renewal despite being convened and reconvened twice. Some beneficiaries reach pension age and thus receive basic retirement pension. E, some beneficiaries have passed away. F, some beneficiaries are abroad for a period of more than 6 months. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B, first I am informed that all applications for invalidity pension are examined by a medical board consisting of 2 general practitioners in accordance with the existing medical guidelines. All applications, including of long-term chronic diseases, acquired long-term disabilities, or inborn disorders, are assessed based on the degree of disability associated with the medical condition and not on the basis of the medical condition itself. In this respect, applications are not allowed or discontinued where the degree of disability assessed does not meet
the prescribed threshold in the medical guidelines. Those suffering from mild or moderate disabilities usually do not satisfy the eligibility criteria and hence are not allowed when boarded or assessed. Precise statistics as requested by the Honourable Member of the number of persons suffering from long-term chronic diseases, acquired long-term disabilities, and inborn disorders who have been rejected, that is disallowed or discontinued, are not available at this stage. The specific data disaggregation and collection is being reorganized. However, I can give the Honourable Member some indicative statistics. First, the number of new applications related to long-term chronic diseases, acquired long-term disabilities, and inborn disorders who have been rejected for the period of January 24 to December 2025 on a yearly basis is as follows. For year 2024, the total number of such applications disallowed and rejected is 44. For 2025, 44 out of 10,064. And for year 2025, 72 such applications out of 9,795. Second, I have indicative figures for the number of beneficiaries whose pension were related to long-term chronic diseases, acquired long-term disabilities, and inborn disorders, and who have been discontinued. The figure is around 5% of the yearly number of beneficiaries. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I wish to state that the assessment process is carried out on the basis of the medical guidelines, which dates back to 2016, and which are being updated in the first phase of the disability pension reform. We are now processing for the clearance of the Ministry of Finance for this much-awaited and much-needed reform. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir.
Yes, Honourable Omia.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether the medical unit at his ministry have given you any information as to the basis of rejection of gentlemen and ladies with inborn incapacity or long-term acquired deficiencies, for example, epilepsy, for example, those having chronic cancer conditions, whether this initial basis of rejection were made on an objective basis or subjective assessment?
The information provided is from the medical unit, and whether the assessment is objective or not, I'm not in a position to give my views on this. It is the medical board. And let me remind the honourable member that any person who are dissatisfied with the medical board can go to the medical tribunal where there are specialists, and even to the Supreme Court for appealing, which has never been done up to now.
Yes.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. May I ask the Honourable Minister, in a spirit of compassion to the people out there who depend on invalidity pension, whether the medical unit will not consider it deemed fit to avoid the recourse to appeal and tribunal, that at the right outset of assessment that are made at the residence of these people are done specifically by medical officers who have the experience and knowledge to be able to reject it outright or to accept it, to avoid unnecessary of these young people to go to the medical appeal and the board so that afterwards it is overturned. Thank you.
I take on board your proposal. This would be taken in the second phase of the reform. But let me add that the number of cases accepted at the level of the medical board have increased by 5% during the course of this government. So there are less appeal right now. And for the doctors, specialized doctor, normally now they are medical doctors employed by the Social Security of my ministry and the medical unit. And the new system of assessment will change completely. It will be qualitatively new. This will be in the second phase of the reform. The work is in progress, and there are some progress. Thank you.
You are one supplementary, Honorable François? Yes.
Yeah, if you allow me, Mr. Deputy Speaker,
Just
sir.
one question.
Yeah, sure. Will the Honourable Minister be able to confirm or state or table the specific number of statistics of beneficiaries whose invalidity pension stopped from Rodrigues for the mentioned period, specifically?
I don't have this statistic. I don't have it. I think it's under the RRA. I will check it, but for the medical board, it's under the RRA, and the medical appeal is under my ministry. I take this opportunity to reply to you to say that the medical appeal tribunal, which we talked in the last session, will be going to Rodrigue in mid-June.
The Honourable Second Member for Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. B757.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, let me thank our honourable friend for putting this question. And I will say that in regard to part A of the question, I'm informed that for the period 2023 to 2024, one fisherman card was revoked. Other fisherman was engaged in other gainful employment. I wish to refer the honourable member to replies made to PQB parliamentary question B/987 at the sitting of the 11th November 2025 and PQ B/38 at the sitting of the 17th March 2026, respectively, where I informed the House that our lagoons have been overexploited and depleted over the years. The previous government had gone against sustainable fisheries by issuing a substantial number of new fishermen cards. As regards part B of the question, I'm informed that from January 2025 to date, a total of 80 applications for fishermen card have been received at the 14 fisheries posts across the island. These 80 applications have been kept in abeyance for the time being. With regard to the eligibility criteria, so far, no change is being envisaged.
Yes.
Can the Honourable Minister inform the House the operation of checking if all the fishermen that has been delivered card at the eve of the election, with the process of revoking or suspended their card, is still going on?
No, we are mindful and watchful. There is a monitoring unit, looking at the cases, and we have to make sure, although they were given fishermen cards almost on the eve, on the threshold of general election, but we have to make sure that they are in gainful employment in relation to ocean activities. Otherwise, appropriate corrective measure will be taken.
Yes. The last question from Honourable Ramdas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. PQB 758, please.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, with your permission, I'd reply to this question on behalf of my colleague, Minister Bichu. I would like to first thank Honourable Member for this question. The House would recall that the previous government had, during COVID-19, through the STC, procured 50 ventilators from PAC and Blister. Distribuciones Farmacéuticas SL, located in Spain, against an outright payment of 1.8 million euros. These ventilators were found to be defective and not according to the specifications, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Initially, a Spanish law firm Ferran Abogados and Asociados was enlisted by the previous government to recover the 1.8 million euros from Pack and Blister. However, it's no surprise to anybody that not much progress was made. But as a responsible government, we cannot accept to let go of the 1.8 million euros, as this fund comes from the hard work of our people. Therefore, further to the advice of the Attorney General's Office, the Ministry of Health and Wellness retained the services of another Spanish law firm, namely Perez Lioca Law Firm. After several consultations, this law firm advised that an action may be brought for performance or termination of the contract under Article 1124 of the Spanish Civil Code against Pack and Blister, or alternatively, an action for defective performance could be brought under Article 1166 of Spanish Civil Code. Accordingly, on April 29, 2026, the Spanish law firm sent correspondence to Pack and Blister initiating an alternative dispute resolution proceeding whereby the sums of euro 2.216390.65 inclusive of interest, euros and MUR 41,181.50 are being claimed. The offer established a 1-month deadline for acceptance and response is being awaited. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
I have only one question because time is already over.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. This acquisition dates back to 2020 and it involves significant amount of taxpayers' money. In view of the risk of the supplier raising a potential defense of the claim being time-barred, may we have a clear indication as to when the proceedings will be launched, if any?
Sure. As responded in the substantive part of my answer, we made this offer on 29th April 2026, giving them 1 month notice, which implies that by 28th of May 2026, we expect a response, failing which the Ministry will decide under the advice of the Attorney General on the way forward. Thank you.
Honourable members, the table has been advised that the following PQs have been withdrawn. B774, 769, 772, 780, 765, 763, 762, 761, 775, 759, 764, 768, 773, 760, 776. Time is over.
Motion.
Mr. Deputy
Honourable
Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Yeah, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move that all the business on today's order paper be accepted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
Motion is seconded. Seconded. The question is that all the business on today's order paper be accepted for the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statement by Ministers, non-public bills, first reading.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the Constitutional Review Commission Bill number 6 of 2026 be read the first time.
Seconded. Seconded, yes.
Bill, second reading.
The Honourable Minister of Information, Technology, Communication and Innovation, Dr. Ramtuhal.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that the Electronic Transactions Amendment Bill number 5 of 2026 be read a second time.
Yes. No. No, it has to be seconded. You sit down, then first seconded. Yes, seconded now.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I rise to present the Electronic Transactions Amendment Bill. This amendment bill represents a significant advancement in modernizing the legal structure for electronic transactions in Mauritius. Its goal is to make sure our laws adapt to technological evolution, facilitate business activities, and enhance our reputation as a reliable hub in the digital economy. The Electronic Transactions Act, enacted in 2000, was a pioneer for its era. Nonetheless, the digital environment has transformed considerably. Nowadays, trade is increasingly conducted on digital platforms, automated systems, and via paperless transactional tools. Our legislation needs to evolve in order to represent this truth and facilitate further adoption of digital technologies. This bill aims at updating the Electronic Transactions Act to better align with advancement in digital commerce and to ensure that the country's legal framework is in line with international standards, particularly those established by the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL. The amendments are largely informed by the following instruments, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Model Law on Electronic Commerce, 1996, abbreviated MLEC. Model Law on Electronic Signatures, 2001, abbreviated MLES. And United Nations Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in International Contracts, 2005, abbreviated ECC. Model Law on Electronic Transferable Records, 2017, abbreviated MLETR. By adhering to these instruments, Mauritius strengthens legal certainty and improves its capacity to engage comprehensively in cross-border digital trade. It is also crucial to emphasize that these modifications will enable our posture to become a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Use of Electronic Communications in International Contracts, as we said, known as the ECC. Furthermore, Mauritius can join this international agreement, which makes it practicable for electronic communications to be legally recognized in cross-border contracts, by also harmonizing our local laws with the Convention's tenets. There are currently about 25 contracting states, including Singapore, that are signatories to the ECC, indicating a growing global acceptance. Although the number of contracting states is still growing, it comprises both developed and emerging economies. And as nations update their frameworks for digital trade, adoption is continuously rising. Enhanced legal certainty in international transactions, better acceptance of our electronic communications overseas, and increased appeal of Mauritius as a jurisdiction for international trade and digital business are only a few of the obvious advantages of this accession. The bill is technical because the subject matter is technical, but its objective is simple: to facilitate business and provide legal certainty. It updates core provisions of the law to reflect how transactions are actually conducted today, digitally, across borders, and increasingly through automated systems. Far from over-legislating, it removes ambiguity and aligns Mauritius with internationally accepted standards. These reforms also represent an important milestone in the implementation of the government's ICT Blueprint 2025-2029. That strategy sets out a clear vision for Mauritius to become a digitally empowered economy underpinned by robust legal and regulatory frameworks. By modernizing the Electronic Transaction Act, we are giving concrete effect to that vision, creating the legal infrastructure necessary to support digital trade, foster innovation, and enhance trust in electronic transactions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this reform is not happening in isolation. It is linked by the roots with the Blueprint 2025-2029 and aims at positioning Mauritius as a digitally empowered economy. We are not just updating a law. We are building the legal infrastructure for innovation, digital trade, and economic growth. The bill introduces three main areas of reform. First, it modernizes the law on electronic signatures. Second, it provides legal recognition for automated contracting and smart contracts. Third, it introduces a comprehensive framework for electronic transferable records. And this third section is the most transformative part of the bill, which I will come to as we build the foundation. And I will briefly address each of these. Firstly, strengthening the objects of the Act under Section 3. The bill updates the objectives of the Act to clearly include the support of cross-border electronic transactions and deepens the integration of Mauritius into the digital global economy. This addition is not just symbolic. It shows a clear policy direction to ensure that Mauritius stays compatible with international electronic systems and remains, therefore, attractive for global business. Secondly, modernizing the key definitions under Section 2. The bill revises the language of the Act to match current technological realities. It replaces the term electronic agent with automated messaging system, defined as a system that can start or respond to electronic communications without human involvement. This aligns the Electronic Transactions Act with the language in the ECC and reflects modern practices. The term automated message system is internationally recognized and better reflects modern technologies, including platforms and algorithm-driven systems. It ensures clarity and alignment with global legal frameworks, particularly in recognizing contracts formed without human intervention. The definition of electronic record now includes all information logically linked to the record, ensuring consistency with international standards. A new definition is added to support the legal framework for transferable instruments in electronic form. And thirdly, reform of electronic signatures, Section 8, and this one is a replacement. A central feature of this bill is the amendment to Section 8 on electronic signatures. The new provision sets out a clear and modern test. An electronic signature will meet a legal requirement if it identifies the signatory and shows intention, and the method used is reliable and appropriate for its purpose or has proven to achieve that purpose. This introduces for the first time in our laws a flexible and technology-neutral standard based on reliability. This approach has several benefits, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. It accommodates various technologies, it reflects how electronic signatures are commonly used, and it ensures legal validity is assessed in the right context. This amendment aligns with Article 6 of the Model Law on Electronic Signatures and Article 9 of the ECC. It also introduces flexibility while maintaining legal clarity, and it ensures technology neutrality. This approach is widely adopted internationally and ensures legal certainty while also being technology agnostic. It allows courts to assess the signature in context rather than relying on rigid or outdated criteria. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, allow me to exemplify with a concrete case. Consider a Mauritian company entering into a high-value supply contract with an overseas partner. Instead of simply signing a document electronically, the parties now use a secure digital signing platform which requires a multi-factor authentication to verify the identity of the signatory, uses encryption and digital certificates to link the signature uniquely to that person, and generates a tamper-evident record so that any alteration to the document after signature becomes detectable to prevent frauds. And it produces a time-stamped audit trail showing when and by whom the document was signed so that tracing can be enabled in case of any investigation of wrongdoings. Now, under the amendment, under Section 8, the law does not simply ask, was there a signature? But it asks, is the method used reliable and appropriate for that purpose? In a high-value commercial contract, a system with authentication, encryption, and audit trails would clearly meet that standard. In other words, the law now recognizes not just that a document is signed, but it is signed in a way that can be trusted. With regards to recognition of foreign electronic signature, and this is a new section under 15A, a new section states that the legal effectiveness of an electronic signature or certificate cannot be denied merely based on the geographic location where it was created or used, or merely on the basis of the location of the issuer's or signatory's business. This rule promotes cross-border acceptance and removes legal obstacles to international electronic transactions. It simply ensures that geography does not determine validity. A foreign signature must still meet the same functional and reliability requirements under Mauritian law. This is essential for cross-border trade and ensures that Mauritius is not isolated from international digital transactions. While the existing Act already recognizes secure electronic signatures, the new provision removes any doubt by expressly providing that a signature or certificate cannot be denied legal effect solely because it originates from abroad. Therefore, this strengthens legal certainty and aligns Mauritius with international best practice. In fact, this is a non-discrimination rule which is stronger in legal interpretation. With regards to trust and digital signature framework under Section 16, Mr. Deputy Speaker, in any digital ecosystem, the circle of trust represents a fundamental element that builds credibility. This bill contributes to strengthen the trust in the use of digital signatures in our jurisdiction. It clarifies that any alteration to an electronic signature after it was made must be detectable. This may appear technical, but it is essential to ensure integrity, transparency, and confidence in digital transactions. And another keyword, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is traceability. Electronic records and digital signatures under Section 18 and 19 contain amendments that clarify that a digital signature applies to the entire electronic record and not just to part of it or only to the pages on which that signature was affixed, and that there is consistency in how secure digital signatures are treated. These changes eliminate confusion and reflect current verification practices internationally, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. With regards to clarifying electronic communications under Section 15, this bill introduces important updates to the rules governing electronic communications. Section 14 is updated to align with the ECC by redefining the time of dispatch as the time at which a message leaves the originator's system and clarifying that receipt occurs when a message can be retrieved. Additional provisions clarify that the location of equipment does not determine the place of business. And in a world that is dominated by cloud technologies, this section becomes very important. It also clarifies that domain names or email addresses do not specify or imply a specific location. This bill further clarifies that the location of servers or equipment do not define a party's place of business, and using a domain name or email address linked to a country does not imply a presumption of location. These provisions are crucial in a digital environment where infrastructure is often spread across multiple geographical areas. The concept of cloud computing, as mentioned, is one such example. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, a common practical application of this clause can be described by the following situation. An exporter sends shipping instructions or confirms contract by email or through an online platform. The law will now clearly determine when, that is the time stamp, that communication takes legal effect, thereby removing disputes about whether or not and when a message was sent and or received with the timestamps. It also ensures that server location does not determine the place of business and domain names do not create presumptions of jurisdiction. These updates reflect the realities of modern digital infrastructures and practices. With regards to legal recognition of automated contracting under new sections 14A to 14D, an important innovation in this bill is the introduction of rules about automated messaging systems. These new sections clarify that online proposals are generally invitations to make offers unless otherwise stated. Contracts formed through automated systems are legally valid even without human intervention. And there are safeguards for input errors allowing for withdrawal under certain circumstances or conditions. These rules provide a solid legal foundation for smart contracts, algorithm-driven transactions, and digital platforms. Such contracts are already widely used in practice. The law is simply recognizing reality and providing legal certainty. Importantly, the bill does not remove safeguards. General contract law continues to apply, and specific protections are introduced, including provision for input errors. Mr. Deputy Speaker, a logical question that arises relates to protection for individuals dealing with automated systems. The bill introduces a clear safeguard where a person makes an input error and the system does not provide an opportunity to correct it, the person may withdraw the erroneous part of the communication under two conditions. Notice is given promptly and no benefit has been derived. This ensures fairness in automated environments. It is a balanced approach that supports innovation and at the same time protects users adequately, and it reflects everyday commercial reality. When a buyer places an order on an online platform and the system automatically confirms the purchase, the system and generates an invoice and processes payment, a contract is then formed. This bill ensures that such transactions are legally recognized, while also protecting users in cases of input errors where no correction mechanism is provided for. Consider another situation, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, in which a Mauritian seller provides products to a foreign purchaser through a blockchain-enabled system. A smart contract is created with predefined terms. For example, once the shipment is confirmed as delivered and verified, payment is automatically processed and released to the exporter. In this arrangement, there is no need for manual intervention once the conditions are met and satisfied. The system automatically executes the contract and all actions are recorded transparently on the blockchain network. In practical terms, this means faster settlement of payments, reduced reliance on intermediaries, and greater trust between parties who may be from different jurisdictions. There is a clarification, however, I need to bring at this stage, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. This bill is not a substitute for customer or consumer protection legislations or cross-border enforcement mechanisms. Its role is to provide legal certainty, evidentiary recognition, and trusted rules for digital transactions. These elements are essential foundations for protecting users in the digital economy. No electronic transaction law anywhere in the world can guarantee that a foreign seller will deliver goods ultimately. What similar laws do provide for is the legal framework necessary to establish enforceable digital rights, reliable evidence, and trusted electronic transactions. Without these amendments, Mauritian users would face even greater uncertainty when transacting internationally online, because the legal validity of electronic records, signatures, and automated transactions would be less clear. Further legislations can now be built by the relevant ministries, relying upon this bill for protecting online customers and merchants. With regards to the introduction of electronic transferable records, which pertain to the new Part 2, Sections 8B and 8L, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, increasing reliance on modern trade on digital documentation makes it imperative to introduce a new framework for electronic transferable records. Without this framework, electronic trade documents cannot function effectively, and Mauritius risks being excluded from paperless trade systems. This bill enables key commercial instruments like negotiable instruments and documents of title to exist and to operate fully in electronic form with legal certainty. The framework is based on three main principles. Firstly, the legal recognition. Electronic transferable records cannot be denied validity just because they are in electronic form. Secondly, functional equivalence. An electronic record will meet legal requirements if it contains the necessary information and a reliable method ensures its integrity, identification, and control. The operationalization of the above two principles ensures that electronic transferable records do not increase the risk of fraud. In fact, it reduces the risk as the operational framework mandates. Firstly, a reliable method to ensure integrity. Secondly, exclusive control equivalent to possession, and secure systems preventing unauthorized access. Digital systems also provide audit trails that are often stronger than paper-based processes. An important feature of this bill is control equivalent to possession. The bill also introduces the idea of control as the electronic equivalent of possession, allowing these instruments to be transferred securely in digital form. Therefore, this approach begs the question as to whether replacing possession with control is legally sound or not. In fact, the answer, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, is yes. This is a well-established principle under the UN Citral model. Control, the term control, performs the same legal function as possession in a digital environment. It ensures that only one person can exercise rights over the record at a time, and transfers can be effected securely and verifiably. In addition to establishing the legal recognition of electronic transferable records, the bill also sets out clear operational rules to ensure that these instruments can function effectively in practice. First, the bill addresses endorsement and amendment. In traditional paper-based systems, documents such as bills of lading or promissory notes may be endorsed, meaning rights are transferred by signing or amended where necessary. The bill ensures that these same actions can be carried out electronically, using reliable methods that preserve the integrity of record. For example, an electronic bill of lading can be endorsed digitally to transfer rights from an exporter to a bank or buyer, without the need for physical handling. Second, the bill provides clarity on transfer and control. In the physical world, possession of a document often determines who has rights over it. In the electronic environment, the concept of control replaces the concept of possession as explained above, and this implies that only one party at a time can exercise rights over the electronic record, and the system must ensure that control can be transferred securely from one party to another. For instance, when an electronic bill of lading is transferred, the system ensures that the previous holder doesn't have control anymore, thereby preventing duplication or competing claims. The bill finally deals with conversion between paper and electronic formats. Recognizing that both systems may coexist during a transition period, the law allows for documents to be converted from paper to electronic form and from electronic form back to paper, provided that a reliable method is used to maintain integrity and ensure that only one valid version exists at any given point in time. This avoids situations where both a paper and an electronic version circulate simultaneously, which could create legal uncertainty. The bill also provides for cross-border recognition. So electronic transferable records will not be denied legal effect simply because they are used in another jurisdiction. This is essential for international trade. Referring to the earlier example of electronic bill of lading issued abroad, it can now be both recognizable and enforceable in Mauritius, and vice versa, facilitating seamless cross-border transactions. This framework aligns with the UN Central Model on electronic transferable records and marks a major step towards paperless trade. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, taken together, these provisions ensure that electronic transferable records are not only legally recognized, but are also operationally viable, secure, and fully functional within both domestic and international trade systems. In the current law, when goods are exported, a bill of lading is issued to serve as a proof of shipment. Evidence of the contract of carriage and a document of title to the goods are also issued. However, in many cases, this document must be physically couriered across jurisdictions before the buyer can take delivery of goods. This creates delays and is more expensive. With this new section, the same bill of lading can now exist solely in electronic format and be transferred digitally from one party to another with full legal recognition. This implies no waiting for courier services, reduced risk of loss or delay, and faster release of goods at destination. For perishable exports, this can make a critical difference. The House may note that the Finance Act 2025 at Section 4 amended the Bills of Exchange Act, enabling legal recognition of electronic bills of exchange, an instrument that deals with the movement of funds only. The current bill extends electronic recognition to a whole new category of instruments, such as bill of lading and promissory notes. This bill establishes a general, cross-cutting legal framework that applies across all electronic transferable records. While the Bill of Exchange Act modernizes a specific instrument, this bill ensures that the same principles apply consistently across the entire digital trade ecosystem. It is standardization across the system. This reform ensures coherence, consistency, and future readiness. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, this bill is not about introducing complexity. It is about removing uncertainty. It ensures that our laws reflect modern commercial realities, supports innovation, and positions Mauritius as a credible participant in the global digital economy. Additionally, this bill facilitates businesses to conduct online transactions by reducing friction and by increasing certainty instead. Businesses will benefit from clearer rules on electronic signatures, recognition of automated transactions, and the ability to use electronic trade documents. This will lower costs, speed up transactions, and improve competitiveness. This bill is a forward-looking reform that balances innovation with legal clarity. It updates our legal framework, supports digital and cross-border transactions, backs emerging technologies like smart contracts, and paves the way for paperless trade. Mauritius has already made significant progress in digital government services, electronic registration systems, and legal recognition of documents. We are, in fact, following the track of states like Singapore, United Kingdom, France, and Abu Dhabi, among others. This bill positions Mauritius as a jurisdiction ready to compete in the digital economy while following international best practices. And it sends a clear message that Mauritius is ready to operate confidently and securely in the global space. It is worthy of note that Mauritius will be the first country on the African continent to apply model law on electronic transferable records across to give legal recognition and enforceability to different types of instruments for digital trade. This bill also prepares Mauritius to take benefit from the Digital Trade Protocol of the African Continental Free Trade Area by recognizing electronic documents of member states once they legislate the recognition on electronic transferable records. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, we are paving the way on the continent. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I suspend the sitting for half an hour.